Beelzebub, a name steeped in mystery, fear, and ancient power. For thousands of years, it has echoed through scriptures, exorcisms, and folklore. But who is Beelzebub really? Is he a vile demon of hell, a fallen angel, or a misunderstood god lost in the pages of history? Today we dive deep into the origins, transformations, and symbolism of this infamous figure, from revered deity to the Lord of the Flies. Let's start at the beginning. The name Beelzebub originates from the ancient Hebrew phrase Baal Zebul, which translates to Lord of the Flies. But this wasn't always an insult or a name of evil. Originally, the phrase was likely Baal Zebul, meaning Lord of the High Place or Exalted Lord. Baal was a common title for gods in the Canaanite and Philistine pantheons, deities linked with storms, fertility, and agriculture. Imagine a powerful regional god worshipped by ancient people. Much like Zeus in Greek mythology or Thor in Norse stories. But with the rise of monotheism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, many of these older gods were recast as demons or false idols. This linguistic twist, changing Zebul to Zevuv, turned a noble god into a figure tied to filth and decay. Ruins and flies came to symbolize not just physical rot, but the moral and spiritual corruption that monotheistic faiths associated with pagan gods. And this was part of a much broader cultural process, where rival gods were demonized to assert the supremacy of one true God. In Christian theology, the 7 deadly sins serve as a moral compass, warning humans against spiritual pitfalls. Beelzebub is most commonly linked with gluttony, but not just simple overeating. Here, gluttony means excessive desire, an insatiable craving not only for food, but for pleasure, power, and worldly possessions. Think about how this sin slowly consumes a person, day by day, turning satisfaction into endless hunger. Beelzebub embodies this destructive force, often shown as a grotesque figure, obese and surrounded by flies feasting on decay. His image is not just repulsive for shock value, it is a vivid metaphor for how unchecked desire leads to moral and physical decay. In literature and art, Beelzebub's gluttony represents the wider human tendency towards self-indulgence, materialism, and the loss of spiritual purpose. Why flies? Flies are not only annoying, they're carriers of disease, drawn to rotting flesh and filth. Beelzebub, as Lord of the Flies, symbolizes the inevitability of decay and corruption. Where Lucifer represents pride and rebellion, and Satan represents wrath and destruction, Beelzebub's domain is different. His power is slow corruption, the rot from within. The flies swarming around him act as a constant reminder. Evil is not always loud and violent. Sometimes it is subtle, pervasive, and insidious. This symbolism invites us to reflect on the decay in our own lives. Habits, addictions, desires that slowly rot away our values and our souls. Beelzebub's terrifying image has evolved over centuries into something complex and even fascinating in modern culture. In anime, the show Beelzebub portrays the demon lord's infant son as a mischievous baby with incredible power, a humorous, even endearing twist on the classic image. In video games like Diablo, Beelzebub is a powerful prime evil, a boss that players must face and defeat. Similarly, in the Shin Megami Tensei series, Beelzebub appears as a summonable demon with devastating powers. In literature, such as John Milton's Paradise Lost, he is a close advisor to Lucifer, intelligent, cunning, ambitious. And in horror films like The Exorcist, his name is whispered during scenes of possession, cementing his place as a symbol of ultimate evil. Through these reinterpretations, Beelzebub has transformed from a mere demon to a cultural icon, sometimes terrifying, sometimes humorous, but always compelling. Philosophically, Beelzebub can be seen as a symbol of human nature's vulnerability to excess and loss of self-control. His story warns us against the dangers of giving in to base desires, whether food, power, or addictive behaviors. In our age of instant gratification, with social media, consumerism, fast food, the spirit of Beelzebub is alive and well. He doesn't need to physically possess us. He only needs us to feed our cravings and lose ourselves in excess. This interpretation makes Beelzebub relevant, not only in religion or myth, but as a timeless cautionary figure. So, who is Beelzebub? A fallen god? A prince of demons? A symbol of gluttony? Or a mirror reflecting our own weaknesses? Perhaps all of these at once. From ancient deity to Lord of the Flies, Beelzebub reminds us that sometimes the greatest evils come from within ourselves. As the saying goes, the greatest demons we face are the ones we feed. Be mindful of what you nurture in your soul, because that may be your true downfall.